Everybody, welcome back to this episode of Think Business Live. Dan, are you there? Because I'm frozen, I think.
Yeah, I'm here.
All right. Yeah, there we go. I'm not computer right now. Anyway, sorry about that. Anyway, all right, so we'll just have to kind of just go with the flow. Anyway, sorry about that. My computer, I don't know what's going on here. This has never happened before. All right. So Dan, you got an interesting career. You are the CEO and the founder of McGaw.io, marketing technology and marketing analytics agency. But you also have done some cool things. You've been selected to be a United States Ambassador of Entrepreneurship by the United States Department, where you've had the privilege of doing really cool things. And so we're gonna talk about that as well. So let's talk about you, and let's talk about analytics and marketing analytics. And I think to kick things off, let's define what marketing analytics are for people, because I think sometimes they don't know exactly what that measurable is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the most common things that like marketing analytics are really going to focus on, of course, is going to be when you think about people coming to your website, the page visits, how are they using your marketing site, how many of those people are becoming leads, and all the metrics around like, what do you need to know in marketing? Of course, like there's definitely things that lead into the product analytics as well. And our company does do product analytics, which is more about like, how does somebody use your SaaS or other products? But marketing analytics is definitely a niche that we've been in for a while. And before starting this company, I was the head of marketing at a company called Kissmetrics, which was one of the pioneers in the marketing analytics space. So been doing this for some time now.
Yeah. So let's talk about, your leading marketing. I'm a big believer that marketing is really, everything. I mean, marketing is so critical in everything that we do. So talk a little bit about the power of marketing and why people even need to start doing marketing in the first place that then gets measured.
Yeah, of course. Well, I mean, most companies, of course, with their marketing, whether you're doing online or offline marketing, you need to be measuring the effectiveness of that. So if you're doing online marketing, naturally, whether you're doing content marketing, like writing blog posts, doing webinars, heck, I mean, doing podcasts, as an example, we consider that to be content marketing. So whenever you do something like this, you have to come up with unique ways to be able to track it. Whether you're doing PPC marketing, you're doing any display marketing, remarketing, all that stuff, affiliate marketing, you have to come up with ways that you're going to be able to track that. I mean, the most common way that these things are tracked are through campaign tracking links. So you would have a link going to your website, maybe using a link shortener, so that way you could see the number of clicks, and then also using UTM codes. UTM codes are just a little bit of code that you add to the end of the URL. So that way when somebody clicks a link, you know where they came from, you know what campaign it was, you know what they clicked on, kind of stuff. That all gets saved in your analytics. So Google Analytics, Kissmetrics, whatever the analytics tool is, UTMs work with all of those tools. So really, really important to have that type of tracking to make sure hey, you know what, that remarketing campaign's not working, or that podcast that I was on, we got no leads out of that, right? So you need to be able to really connect one-to-one there.
Yeah. I love the one-to-one. I remember 20 some years ago reading Permission Marketing by Seth Godin. And it was such a groundbreaking book because Amazon was relatively new. And Seth Godin had talked about, permission marketing, this one-on-one marketing. Like, if you like this, these other people like this too. And they also like this, which means you would like that. And it was so groundbreaking. I mean, it really had an impact. And I remember thinking, wow, is that what the world is going to be like? Like, I'll buy something and they'll be able to tell me that all these other people like this. So then that'll give me options that I think I would like. And it's amazing how that works. Today it's so mainstream. I mean, and so let's talk about technology. Let's talk about AI. Let's talk about virtual reality when it comes to marketing. Because I think as a technology company, I'm assuming you're looking at these things and saying, okay, what type of role are they currently and will they be playing in the next 5 years of businesses, and how? Because I think businesses are kind of trying to figure out, how do I even use those technologies today? Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because when you think about like artificial intelligence, it's interesting over the past couple of years, you've seen a lot of people get really bullish on artificial intelligence and machine learning. But what's been really, really fascinating to watch is like people have actually had to slow down their role on those types of technology because at the end of the day, all those technologies do is look at your historical data set and then make decisions based upon what has happened historically and try to make predictions based upon the future. But the problem has been is that the underlying data that most companies have is absolute garbage, right?
Yeah.
So just going back to like the UTM data that we talked about, a lot of companies are trying to use their UTM data, so their attribution data with artificial intelligence to then understand which campaigns would work, which campaigns will work better in the future, and how do I leverage artificial intelligence to run my ad buying or basically run my display. The problem is companies aren't using really good data. They ultimately aren't really good at that. So you've kind of seen a little bit of a pause of some of this over the past year or so, maybe 2 years. And there's now these data governance products which have come out that have really started to make it so that the data you ingest is clean and can actually be used by that artificial intelligence. So if somebody wants to use artificial intelligence or machine learning, you really have got to make sure that you have clean data. And with UTMs, like there's a product that we created called UTM.io that helps a lot of big companies from Shopify to Twitter, things like that, really get their UTMs in order. Because the whole goal is if you have that clean data, the artificial intelligence will start making decisions for you because it's way smarter than us, right? It's able to know what's going on and it's able to predict outcomes, be able to do a lot more computing than we can. So if you have good underlying data, of course, it can really help. But one of the companies that we work with, a company called Autopilot, they're a marketing automation tool. They're using it's like GPT-3 or whatever, the artificial intelligence from Elon Musk. Their artificial intelligence, what it's trying to do is do productivity things for you. So you write a blog post on your website, maybe you have 3 blog posts. It's going to send you an email and say, hey, you should send an email out in your newsletter to your newsletter subscribers about these 3 blog posts. And I already wrote the subject line, the body of the email, put the image in there. So it's interesting now where artificial intelligence is now becoming a productivity things for a lot of marketers. So there's a lot of cool use cases that like we're just scratching the surface on right now about AI.
Yeah, I love it. I love everything that you're talking about. And I love just watching it roll out and evolve itself. Let's talk about this. We talk about marketing. We talk about analytics. Let's talk about conversions because I think that's kind of where the rubber meets the road. Excuse me. Converting customers using the technology, using the analytics, using the right everything is key, right? We're all in the business to ultimately make money, and we want those conversions to go up. So talk to me a little bit about how your product, your service converts more clients.
Yeah, of course. So with McGaw.io, right, we're a marketing technology, marketing analytics agency. So we're being hired by companies to help them choose tools, integrate tools, operate them, and analyze their data to create growth. So in a lot of cases, right, what we're trying to do is set up a good analytics foundation using a good analytics taxonomy so we can actually track that customer through all the different touch points and identify the choke points of where they're dropping off, right? If you can find out that 87% of people drop off at this key stage, well, now we know where to focus our attention. We know where we need to be running more A/B testing. We know where we need to be doing a lot of work. So really having good analytics, having clean, reliable data that you can trust is a critical part of that. Now, in the modern era of marketing, right, we have this huge marketing stack that manages all of the different technologies. There's all these different tools, and each tool has a small sliver of that customer experience, right? Because you're going to start on the marketing site, which is going to be tracked by analytics. Then you're going to go into a marketing automation tool. Then you're going to be tracked by a CRM. Then you're going to go to the customer success team. The problem is all of those tools, right? You now have a customer that goes from one tool to the next, to the next, the next, the next. And it makes it really hard to track that customer journey and then to understand where do they fall off. So by having a integrated stack.
Can I just comment one real quickly? You're talking about the tracking the customer journey. I think a lot of times people and companies aren't even saying like, hey, here's the journey. The journey are these, 15, 20, sometimes 30, sometimes 40, sometimes 50, stops along the journey. And so you have to really kind of almost, can you talk a little bit about, I don't want to ruin your flow, but can you talk about kind of, okay, client A takes 10 touches, client B takes 20, client C, 30, the laggard takes 50. and then reverse engineering the journey to get to those specific people. Because I think that's where people don't spend enough time.
Yeah, of course. And just to make sure I understand, so you're talking about how do you identify those 50 steps from that laggard, or you want me to talk?
How do you just like proactively plan for those steps? We don't need to identify all of them, but I think a lot of times people just, like kind of like put stuff out there and they're not tracking that type of stuff.
Yeah, and that's where you really want to make sure that you have all of your tools properly integrated together so you can understand all those touch points, right? You need to be able to plan ahead. One, you've got to plan ahead of these customer journeys, and you've got to be able to track it. But the problem is we have to understand is no matter how you plan around a customer journey, the customer's going to do whatever the hell they want, right? Like we can't choose a path for them. They're going to do whatever they want to do. So it's really about making sure that we can track all those touch points, get that into a place where we can actually look at it, and then analyze those separate funnels. Because there's plenty of tools that have flow builders, right, and journey mapping. Like that part's not hard. The hard part is just getting the data into a tool that's going to do that. I mean, if you bought a product like Mixpanel and you click on the flow report, as long as you're tracking everything, it's going to show you all the flows that you have, and then you can very easily filter and say, well, show me the people that went through this flow and didn't convert. So there's definitely a lot of tools to do that. But if you're trying to map out your customer journey, the big thing you have to understand is like there's thousands of paths. You can build a funnel report for every one of those, or you can try to find a tool that has a really good flow report. Yeah,
I love that. So I want to talk about, I want to segue flow reports into what you did as an ambassador, because the flow of education, as you advised universities, I'm going to just start with universities. You were selected by the United States Ambassador of Entrepreneurship by the United States State Department, where you had the privilege to advise universities, governments, and private corporations. So I just want to kind of dive into universities, because I think, I'm not a scholastic educator, but I do believe that. And what I hear a lot of is that people get out of school not really knowing what to do when it comes to real life skills. And so I always love when I'm talking to entrepreneurs who especially have access to these universities to advise them how to teach this type of stuff, because I don't know if it's being taught to the level it needs to be taught. And so I almost think like sometimes an 18-year-old is a better professor on this type of stuff than a 65-year-old, right? And so because they understand the technology and the nooks and crannies. So as you're advising universities, and maybe I'm just more tuned in because my son's going to college in the fall, what are you advising them?
Yeah, of course. Well, for the entrepreneur thing, I mean, the big thing that I was going to Mexico and helping people learn is how to become an entrepreneur, what it's like to be an entrepreneur. And ultimately, the big theme that we talked about was, of course, failure. You have to get over failure. You have to be able to accept that, and you have to move forward. So that was a big part of the trip there, and teaching them how to build an ecosystem for entrepreneurs to be successful. How do you create that environment for them? I did a very big, successful job in Orlando building a large entrepreneur and startup ecosystem here. But when you think about going to the technology lens of that, right, there's a lack, especially in Mexico, there's a lack of exposure compared to what we have here, right? Like we think about iPhone 8, iPhone 10, iPhone 12, they're on iPhone 4s still, right? So like there's definitely a different accepting of that in Mexico. So that was a big part of trying to get exposure there. But when you think about the education system as it stands today, they don't teach you Google Analytics. They don't teach you taxonomy. They teach you sometimes analytics, right? But they teach you a very broad-based, theory-driven analytics. You might get to use Tableau, but like the ecosystem is much different when you think about tools and technology. So it can be really, really hard to get hands-on experience in a college and be successful moving into a company. But where I've seen the biggest rub there is that one, you don't get hands-on experience in college like you used to. The internships are extremely, extremely important, but it's also hard to get an internship. Sometimes you need to go get a job after college that just sucks. And you need to work your way into the position that you want because it's hard to get a job. I mean, it's that simple. If you want to be a senior person, it takes time. And colleges don't give you that experience. They teach you theory. They teach you the broad-based stuff. They don't teach you the real stuff you need to know. Which sucks, but there's plenty of online courses, right? CXL.com. I have an online course there on how do you build a MarTech stack, right? For $300, you can go do an 8-hour course and you'll know the foundation of how to do this. And that can help you get a job, right? So I just think there's a lot more education out there than there used to be. So don't be so dependent upon the university.
Yeah. I think that's smart. I mean, getting out there, to me, if in college today, you should be taking online courses. I mean, even things like masterclass. I mean,
Oh man.
I think it's like $180 a year. I'm a member. It's just priceless content that, if one of those people were doing a, the graduation address, you'd be like writing down every word. So it takes a little bit of a proactive stance, but I think educating yourself is absolutely key. All right, so let's talk about gaining visibility into the customer's journey a little bit more, right? And so you have these analytics. I want to talk about messaging, because to me, when I think of gaining visibility, it's making things easy for the consumer to connect emotionally immediately. And that's how you get visible, by being connectable, by being simple in your messaging. And so as a business coach, I see businesses all over the world where they're out there, but they're not visible because their message isn't clear. And so talk a little bit about that, if you could.
Yeah, of course. I mean, your messaging is going to be really important. I mean, I think an easy one that we always talk about is KISS, keep it stupid simple, right? At the end of the day, don't explain your product the way that you would explain it. The best thing that you can do to really design your messaging is really to ask your customers about the problem you're solving, use the exact words that they're using, and then use that in your marketing. I mean, the most successful marketing campaigns that we've ever done is by going out and talking to our customers, asking them questions around the problem that we solve, having them explain the problem back to us, and then taking the snippets out of that and then using that in the messaging, because you want to use their words, right? Your marketing, if you try to be kitschy, you try to be cool, it just doesn't work. So really use the exact words your customers use, and that's going to help you a lot with your messaging. And I think a lot of people try to oversell or over explain and use all the hype words. Get rid of that stuff. Use the words your customers are using and keep it really, really simple. And in the early stages, you want to be talking to your customers as much as you can, or your prospects, so that way you can get the word and messaging that they use. And then, of course, scale out from there. I mean, that's the easiest way to design messaging from what we've experienced, at least.
Yeah. I just want to talk about that, because I think what you said, I say that all the time, Dan. I always say to people, like, listen to the words that your clients are saying, and you'll know what resonates with them, and then use those simple words and adjust what you're doing with those words. I mean, so it's so simple, it's complicated. And so it really takes, to me, this is why people need people like you, people like me. I'm not promoting myself in a way, I guess I am, but they need experts to say, hey, right, like, to me, you need to go to a marketing person like you, so they can say, hey, this is how we're pitching. And you say, yeah, you're off by one word. Well, that one word can be the difference between hundreds, if not millions of dollars, right?
For sure.
If Just Do It was kind of do it, I don't know if we would be buying as much Nike clothes as we do, right?
I can tell you about a specific vegan site that we worked with, a very, very popular vegan brand. If you go to our website, you can see them on our site. I'm not going to say their name here, though. We had a landing page on their website that said, learn how to, in essence, cook vegan. And we added at home to the end of it, and it had a 300% increase in conversion.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, right?
And then we started testing around, learn how to cook at home like your mother would have taught you, right? Because these are the things that people resonated with. Their mom taught them to cook at home and had another big impact. So like we did over 16,000 feedback responses, and we came out with a lot of this wording. Interestingly enough, if you Google on the internet, keyword and phrase parser, we actually have on our website a phrase parser that we use, because we'll run a lot of big surveys and we ask customers to open text, write in things in, drop that into the phrase parser, and it'll spit out all the 5-word phrases, 4-word, 3-word, 2-word, 1-word phrases. And you just take those 4-word phrases and you add them into your copy, right? So this is something that we do all the time to increase the conversions on websites, is ask a bunch of surveys, take that data, put it into the parser, and then put it on our sites.
Yeah. When I started my business, Dan, it'll be on June 1st, 6 years ago. And I'm a business coach.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. And I work with solopreneurs to Fortune 100 companies and everything in between. And so I came up with my name, the John Dwoskin Experience, and I came up with the tagline, grow your business big. And then our friends, the Finleys, were over. And my buddy, I was telling them, and then my buddy Danny says, I told him the tagline, I said, grow your business big. And then he said, really big. And I thought, oh, what a great. And so the word really, didn't fully resonate, but I changed it to very big. And so now it's grow your business big, period, very big. But people still
Sure.
6 years later get a kick out of that get a kick out of the statement. And so when you say at home, you have to really spoon feed to people, because in a way they don't know, well, if you're going to teach me how to cook, do I have to go to a special place? Do I have to do that? Nope, just at your home. So I love everything that you're talking about. Okay, so you do a couple other things, and I want you to incorporate and tell everybody what that is. So give us the 60-second Dan Reader's Digest version of how you got to today and some of the other avenues that things that you do. Like, I know you're the author of a book, Build Cool Blank, and kind of take us here, take us backwards, take us forwards, and do it in a minute.
Wow, man. So, I mean, I got my start in 1998 sending mass emails since before there was even mass email. So I've just been doing this for a long time. I started my first company when I was 13 years old, was very successful in an online booking agency, and sold that company when I was 19. I kind of bounced around for a few years through a bunch of different companies. But before starting this, I was the head of marketing at a famous analytics company called Kissmetrics. Before that, I was the head of marketing at a company called Code School. We were one of the pioneers on online education for developers. Our clients were GitHub, Google, O'Reilly Media, stuff like that. We ended up selling for $36 million to a company called Pluralsight. So I've just kind of been around. But I'm also the CEO, founder of a company called UTM.io, which is a campaign link management product used by a lot of cool companies. Like you said, I wrote the book Build Cool Blank. I won't say the word out today, which is your blueprint for how to build the modern marketing stack. And what I'd love to do is actually give your listeners an opportunity to test some of the marketing technology to see how it works. Is that cool with you, just to do that?
Yeah, I mean, hey, everybody loves free stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if you pull out your phone, right, we have a texting bot, which is integrated with our entire stack. And this is one of the things we talk to a lot of companies about. If you text the number 415-915.
Hold on. 415.
Yep. 915. 9011. And then if you just text the word MarTech, MARTECH to that number, you'll actually get an opportunity to get a free copy of my book through our texting bot. It will ask you for your address. Just do what it asks you to do. Trust the process. It will integrate with our website, integrates with our fulfillment system, and you can actually get a free copy of the book by just following through on that texting bot. So recommend people to check that out.
415-915-9011.
9011. Yep.
And MarTech, MARTECH.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Well, that was a great Reader's Digest version. All right. The 1 minute rundown. All right. You ready for a quick speed round, Dan?
Let's do it.
All right. Finish this sentence. One thing everyone needs to do to raise their marketing awareness is?
Just get started.
Okay. All right. Good. I like it. Define yourself in one word.
Amazing.
That's good. I like that. Confident sells. I love it. Best piece of wisdom you've ever received?
Shut the F up.
That's a good one. Right. Listen, we have 2 ears for a reason.
Exactly.
Favorite book and why?
The hard thing about hard things, it taught me that no matter how hard it is being a CEO, just don't quit. And that's what's going to make you successful.
Great book. Last question. Fast forward 100 years. What do you want your legacy to be?
Helping underprivileged children that don't get a good enough education have the opportunity to get a better education and get exposure to a different lifestyle.
Amen to that. If there's anything I can do to help you on that journey, please let me know, because I think that is absolutely critical in today's world. And I think more people need to be thinking about that. You know, one of my goals, Dan, is to provide coaching to over 1 billion people, get them thinking big by getting unstuck, staying consistent, and being fulfilled. Obviously, all of those people aren't going to be my direct clients, but I provide content every single day on my website, brand new content every day, so people can learn. I actually have my book and my ebook that are downloadable for free at johndwoskin.com. The ebook is a 100-page workbook with 10 different chapters, and the book is all of it is just filled with content, and I give it away all for free. So I think it is so important. People of privilege have to give back, and we have to give back to people. And education is a great road to get people to great things in their life. So I love that that's your mission. Think community. I just want to recap a couple things that Dan was saying. One, which is giving back. Two, utilize his services. You know, those catchphrases and those small things. I just want to highlight on that. Changing things by 1 or 2 words, by a syllable, everything matters. All of the little things matter that you do. Marketing is key. Analytics are key. Technology is key. If you don't know how to use it, you need to learn. But why take 5 years to learn something when you can hire someone and fast track it? You know, the pre-COVID studies showed that by the year 2020, 85% of the jobs that did not exist in 2020. And studies show also that COVID fast forwarded that 5 to maybe 7 years, if not more. So wow. We have to get ahead of the curve. We cannot be behind real time. I appreciate you being on the show, Dan. Those are my final thoughts. What are yours?
This was awesome. This has been a lot of fun. And I really just hope people take the opportunity to continue to educate themselves. I mean, going out there and learning is going to be the best thing that's going to help push you forward. So I think check out your content, which I think is going to be a great inspiration for people.
Excellent. And I just got your text, so I will fill out my address and get your book. You know, you're an author, you're a great guy. Tell everybody how they can connect with you, Dan.
Yeah, best way, go to McGaw.io. That's the easiest way to get in contact with us. I'm most active on LinkedIn. So if you just go to LinkedIn and search for Dan McGaw, I'm on there the most. Always feel free to reach out if you have any questions.
I love it. Think community, appreciate you very much. Dan, I appreciate you very much. Thanks for being on the show. Thanks for all the great work and the great things that you're doing, not only in the business world, but the universal world, which I think is even more important because it feeds and fuels our soul. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Dan,
thank you.
Second.